The year was 1746. The Maine woods held their breath under a relentless summer sun. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of pine and the oppressive silence that only the wilderness could conjure. Here, amongst the towering pines and gnarled oaks, a story simmered, a story of vengeance, a desperate gamble beneath the pale light of the moon, and a single, fateful shot that would forever echo in the annals of the unforgiving frontier. Along the dusty Stroudwater Road, nestled amidst the brooding shadows, stood the Horse Tavern. A mere watering hole it may have seemed to the casual passerby, but its history stretched back further, back to a solitary cabin built in 1740 by Joe Wyer, a man known simply as the Scout. Clad in worn leather that creaked with every movement, a powder horn and a heavy knife his constant companions, Wyer patrolled the frontier, a solitary wolf forever on guard against the dangers that lurked in the Emerald Labyrinth. His nemesis? The Native American tribes who clashed with the encroaching settlers. His lonely shelter, the cabin, stood witness to his solitary existence, a testament to the harsh realities of his life, except when he was out hunting. Indians. Then, in the sweltering heart of summer, the wind carried a different kind of whisper, a chilling tremor that shook Wyer to his very core. Word reached him, delivered on the panicked breaths of a messenger from horse beef 10 miles away. His sister, Sarah, a beacon of light in his otherwise solitary life, had been brutally murdered by the very people he hunted. And his beloved niece, Emily, her daughter, ripped away into the cruel grip of captivity. Grief, a cold and suffocating serpent, coiled around Wyer's heart, squeezing the very breath from his lungs. But grief soon morphed into a burning rage, a fire that ignited his resolve with a terrifying intensity. Within minutes, he was on the trail, his heart a furnace fueled by vengeance. His keen hunter's eye, honed by years of tracking through treacherous terrain, devoured every detail, a defiant heel mark pressed into the earth, a snapped twig here, a scattering of beads from a bracelet there, a birthday gift from her beloved uncle. These were the desperate messages left by Emily, breadcrumbs leading him towards a terrifying, yet hopeful, purpose. Days blurred into nights as Wyer, a relentless force of nature, followed the trail. The oppressive Maine heat seemed to conspire against him, the silence broken only by the rustle of leaves and the occasional cry of a startled bird. Sweat trickled down his face, stinging his eyes, but he pressed on, fueled by a relentless determination. Once, a misstep on a treacherous ledge sent him scrambling, a branch tearing with a sharp snap. The sound echoed in the stillness, a potential death knell. A lone Indian warrior materialized, slinking back on the trail, his eyes searching for the source of the noise. Wyer, hidden behind a thick canopy of leaves, held his breath, a silent predator waiting for the right moment. The Indian listened, then turned, a guttural grunt escaping his lips, seemingly convinced it was just a startled deer. Little did he know a vengeful avenger was close behind. The trail led Wyer to a clearing bathed in the ethereal glow of the rising moon. There his heart lurched. He saw Emily. But she wasn't alone. 2 burly warriors, their faces painted with intricate patterns of ochre and black, stood guard. Unaware of her imminent freedom, Emily feigned lameness, hoping to slow their progress and increase her chances of escape. Tears streamed down her face, a stark contrast to the stoic mask she forced herself to wear. As darkness settled, her captors, their faces grim, bound her wrists with rough thongs, the prelude to an uncertain future. But fate, and her uncle's unwavering determination, intervened. Suddenly, a desperate struggle fueled by a surge of adrenaline, Emily broke free, sprinting into the moonlit clearing. Her unbound hair whipped behind her like a dark banner, her sobs echoing through the silent woods. Wyer, hidden in the shadows, watched the heart-stopping scene unfold. The enraged Indian warrior, abandoning his companion, lunged after Emily, his hand reaching for the wickedly curved blade at his belt. Wyer's heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drum against his ribs. A deadly choice presented itself: shoot now and risk hitting his niece, or watch her fall victim to the savage's blade. Time seemed to slow down. The clearing, bathed in an eerie moonlight, became a stage for a macabre dance of life and death. Wyer raised his rifle, the weight of the world seemingly resting on his calloused finger. He closed one eye, the sights of the rifle aligning with the warrior's silhouette. a silent prayer escaped his lips, a plea to a forgotten God, a God who perhaps understood the weight of vengeance and the desperation of a man protecting his kin. He squeezed the trigger. The sound, a sharp crack that shattered the stillness of the night, echoed through the woods like a death knell. The warrior stumbled back, a look of disbelief etched on his face as he clutched at his chest. The bullet, fired with unwavering determination, had found its mark, piercing through his chest cavity. He crumpled to the ground, a lifeless husk under the pale moonlight. Emily, oblivious to her uncle's presence, froze mid-stride, her scream dying in her throat. The other warrior, startled by the gunshot and his companion's demise, whirled around, his eyes searching frantically for the source of the attack. Wyer, capitalizing on the momentary confusion, emerged from the shadows, rifle raised. "Don't move," he bellowed, his voice hoarse with emotion. The warrior, a younger man with fierce eyes and a warrior's braid adorned with feathers, hesitated. He cast a glance at his fallen comrade, then back at Emily, who stood trembling in the moonlight. Fear and defiance flickered in his eyes. A tense standoff ensued, the only sound their ragged breaths and the mournful chirping of crickets. Wyer's finger tightened on the trigger, his mind a battlefield of conflicting emotions. He yearned for vengeance, for the warrior to share the fate of his companion. Yet, a sliver of reason, a memory of his gentle sister Sarah, held him back. The warrior, sensing Wyer's hesitation, lowered his weapon slowly, a gesture of surrender. He spoke in his native tongue, words that Wyer didn't understand, but the message was clear, a plea for mercy. Emily, her voice trembling, called out to her uncle, "Uncle Joe, please. Let him go." Wyer stared at the warrior, his gaze lingering on the intricate war paint that adorned his face. He saw not a savage, but a young man caught in the brutal cycle of violence. With a sigh, heavy with the weight of his decision, Wyer lowered his rifle. "Go," he rasped, his voice thick with emotion. "Leave this place and never return." The warrior, his eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and confusion, nodded curtly. He cast a final glance at Emily, then turned and melted back into the shadows, disappearing like a phantom. Silence descended upon the clearing once more, broken only by the soft sobs of Emily, who rushed into her uncle's arms. Relief washed over Wyer, a wave so powerful it nearly buckled his knees. He held his niece close, his weathered hand stroking her hair, a silent promise of protection. The journey back home was long and arduous. The weight of the events hung heavy in the air. They buried the fallen warrior under a towering oak, a silent tribute to the cycle of violence that had claimed another life. As they walked, Wyer recounted the tale of his sister, his voice thick with grief. He spoke of her kindness, her strength, her unwavering love for Emily. The single shot under the moonlight, a testament to a vengeful uncle's love and a warrior's mercy, echoed through the wilderness. It served as a stark reminder of the brutality that stained the frontier, but also of the resilience of the human spirit, the flicker of hope that could even ignite in the darkest of circumstances. And for Emily and Wyer, forever bound by their shared ordeal, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, a journey of healing and the slow, arduous process of rebuilding their shattered lives.